Welcome to Old Fashioned Finance, the podcast that mixes cocktails and high finance. I'm your host, Caleb Frankert, and I'm joined by my good friend and fellow money muddler, Jason Burnell.
Caleb, can a podcast about finance be entertaining? Yes. And with alcohol.
Yes.
All right.
Sorry, I realized that if you're listening to just the audio version, you didn't see me shake my head.
Not without alcohol. Sorry, we needed that part.
You look a little tan.
Yeah.
You look bright-eyed, bushy-tailed, rested, rejuvenated, all that stuff.
Yeah, I kind of wished I could just go put my head in the sand a little bit. I'm not going to lie. So, yeah, that's okay.
How was vacation?
It was good. It was really good. After a lot of meetings and things, it's good to take a little break. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, whatever going on vacation looks like with 7 kids, yeah. So now I'm back so I can rest in my office. No, I love them very much. I'm glad to have spent time with them. It was awesome. We got to fish in the Gulf.
That's really cool.
Yeah, that was really neat. So, yeah, it was worth it. I'm glad we went.
Cool.
Yeah. How was your trip to beautiful, sunny
Minnesota.
Minneapolis,
which I actually heard lovingly referenced while I was up there as, murder. You mean Murderapolis?
Murderapolis.
I'm like, wow, is it that bad?
Jeez. Was it that bad?
I mean, I didn't witness any murders.
Okay,
no.
Well, that's good. That's good. You didn't do any murdering while you were there?
I didn't even do any murdering this time.
Good. I was worried I'd have to walk you out today.
Yeah, that'd be the least of our concerns.
Yeah, exactly. We need a drink. It's Monday. We're recording a podcast. We're post 100 episodes now.
This is episode 101.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
We're starting to get into our groove,
yeah,
I think.
I feel like we're climbing the mountain again.
Trying to get to 200, right?
Yes.
Or what's the next milestone?
I don't know. 150?
Is
102, I think, is the next milestone.
I was going to say, is 110 not ambitious enough?
I don't know. Don't ask me today.
One thing I will say about Minneapolis. So the snow on the sidewalks where I was at, Hamburg, actually, Minnesota, is where
beautiful
I was at.
This time of year.
Well, it looked a lot like, I guess the snow melted today, but it looked a lot like it did here. It was about the same temperature, too. But when we got in and I rented the car, they asked, "Are you sure you don't want all-wheel drive?" And I'm like, you know what? You tell me. I didn't study for this trip. And they were calling for 8 to 20 inches of snow.
That's a big range.
It is a big range. So
I'm
like, I'm thinking to myself, are they trying to get me to upgrade?
Yeah, exactly.
What's really going on?
They want to get me a sweet SUV right now, right?
Yeah. Well, I did drive a brand new Ford Bronco.
Ooh.
Which
nice.
I thought was going to be more fun than it was.
Oh.
It actually reminds me of, you remember Uncle Buck?
Oh, yeah.
Whenever one of the creepy bowling guys is hitting on Buck's niece, and he goes, "You like all-terrain vehicles? I got a brand new Bronco out back." And I kept thinking to myself, I'm driving a brand new Bronco. But it didn't snow. Well, it didn't. It
you
wasn't
didn't get
anything
8 to
crazy.
20 inches.
No, but when I looked at my weather app to see if they were just messing with me, I had never heard this before. It said zombie storm could be record setter, and I'm like,
zombie storm?
Great, now you're throwing zombies into the mix?
What does zombie storm mean?
Yeah, I don't know. So I asked the guy taking us back on the way back to the airport in the shuttle. I said, hey, so I'm from Ohio. I don't know what a zombie storm is. He said, me neither. Never heard that one. We just call them snowstorms. I'm like, okay.
Okay.
So.
This was just some headline trying to get your attention. Yeah. Oh, well.
It was.
I'm sorry you didn't get to experience the zombie storm.
It really felt like here. You don't have to travel. I mean, you don't have to travel 10 hours away to get snow.
No.
It's right here in our backyard.
It's right here.
So,
yeah.
Anyway.
I had to travel more than 10 hours away to get.
This time of year, I feel like you got to go pretty far south.
You do. Yeah. It was really warm. I mean, it was like way in the 80s. So
I've heard it's unseasonably warm down there.
It was good, though. I'm glad. But I'm always glad to be back.
Yeah.
I love my home, my bed. Yes.
Definitely.
Yeah. I brought my family back with me, too.
Oh, good. Yeah. I'll be going there next week. So.
Awesome.
All right. So
here we go.
We are going to drink today.
Yes.
Jason, this one's pretty
colorful.
It is, isn't it beautiful?
It's got grenadine in it, right?
It does. It's got a lot of grenadine, actually. So what we're drinking today is called a Dirty Shirley.
Ooh.
I did not know about this. We hosted our Chamber of Commerce's business after hours a few weeks back, if you remember.
Yep.
And we just kind of, when when I was tending bar, a lot of people came up and said, "What are you making?" And I said, "Well, we make old fashions around here just to keep it easy."
Yep.
And then as the night went on, got a little bit more adventurous.
Got a little bit looser.
Yeah, I started making some Manhattans, some martinis, all kinds of stuff. And girl comes up to me and she goes, "Hey, so don't make fun of me, but I have a request." I said, "Oh, okay.
Oh, sweet.
Shoot." She said, "I'd like a dirty Shirley." I said, "Please educate me. I don't know. I don't know what that is." So she's like, "Well, I see somebody else walking around with one." And I said, "Oh, no. That person doesn't drink alcohol. That's a Shirley Temple." She said, "Okay, yeah, so that, but with vodka."
Ah. That's too bad.
Well,
we're drinking vodka?
Let me put it this way. She came back for a couple more, and she was kind of a wallflower at the beginning, but she was mixing it up afterwards.
Oh,
so
I see. Nice.
It worked for her.
Oh,
it worked.
Good. So she needed the liquid encouragement here.
Absolutely.
Love it. Awesome.
So you know how
this is simple.
Yeah, we're big fans of vodka here.
Oh, yes.
Not.
Not.
I'm having a great time. Not. Okay, so
oh gosh,
I just thought, why not do this, right? Why not? I mean,
okay.
We're 101 episodes in.
Yeah,
let's have some fun.
Yeah, we will finally get through our first bottle of vodka in 100 episodes.
It's lasted a while, and I have washed my hands quite a few times over it. So this one is made with 1.5 ounces of vodka, a half an ounce of grenadine, which seems like a lot to me. I was making lighter than that. And then 6 ounces of lemon lime soda. I used Sprite because we obey our thirst around here.
That's right.
We'll probably get hit
what's the Coke? Well, this is the Coke version. What's the Pepsi version? It used to be
Sierra Mist.
Not anymore. They changed the name.
There is something weird I saw in the store. It looked like a
Studio
bargain
audience.
brand.
What's the Sierra Mist? Yeah, I
forget what it's called.
They changed the name,
weird.
and I'm like, what the heck?
I mean, it looked like mellow yellow almost.
It did. Yeah, I'm not sure what they changed it to, but whatever.
Well, we get to garnish this with a Luxardo cherry, so I'm looking forward to that.
All right.
Let's give it a shot, Jason.
This is a big drink.
It is. Cheers.
Cheers.
6 ounces of lemon lime soda, so it's mostly that.
That's really good. Sweet.
Can't even taste the vodka.
Nope. Thank goodness.
Actually, a lot of people say, "Oh, yeah, that's why I like to mix with vodka, because you don't taste the alcohol." And I say, I always taste the vodka.
Yeah, I don't taste it at all.
I don't taste it.
I guess that's the point, right?
I guess so.
Yeah. So what is Sierra Mist's new name? Starry.
Starry, yeah.
Wow.
I was totally thrown off. I hadn't been in the grocery store in a long time. I think I mentioned it maybe on the last episode or a couple episodes before. So that was another thing that threw me off. I'm like, where is... I want to say Sierra Mist was even on our list, so I was totally...
Like Starry, what the heck is that?
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, okay. That was maybe a marketing person's bad day.
Well, there's a lot of it at the grocery store.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
All right, so that's not terrible.
No, I mean, I can tolerate that.
Again, I taste no alcohol.
Me neither.
Whatsoever.
Yeah.
So that means
I guess
we're
that's
good
the
to
idea,
go.
right?
Chug, 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 chug.
Here we go.
All right. Well, we should probably get into it, Jason. On today's episode,
we had so much fun last time doing non-financial things.
Wasn't it great?
It was.
I have a feeling. Well, this has been pretty.
This is timely.
Yes, it's pretty timely.
Yeah.
We've talked about it a lot here today, and I have a feeling by the time this episode is edited and out, people are going to be like, what are they talking about? Oh, yeah, that's old news.
Yeah.
Because that's how we move on here, right?
Yeah.
But we're talking about the anatomy of a bank failure, Jason.
Bah, bah, bah.
Yeah. On the heels
of dreaded music.
On the heels of a busy weekend
yes.
In banking news, right?
Oh, gosh. You're giving me like little bits of flashbacks, back to the banking days.
Well, yeah, like I felt a little shell-shocked because you were out last week,
yep.
I was out last week, and regardless of where we were at, both of us were tuning out the headlines.
Yep.
I didn't even open my laptop. I had other priorities, and then Friday,
it was hard to hide from this one, right?
Yeah, it was.
I mean, it was everywhere.
It kind of was like getting, like you said, flashbacks, that shell-shock, like post-traumatic stress.
PTSD.
And I'm not making light of that,
exactly.
okay? But we did live through some pretty rough stuff.
Right.
The great financial
nowhere
crisis.
Close to real PTSD,
sure.
But geez, it does kindle those feelings and rekindle. Is that a word?
Well, yeah, rekindle, sure.
Yeah, okay. I mean, I I hate to even have to talk about this.
I got like a flutter earlier today when we were talking about it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I don't know if it's my diet or what, but
he was holding onto his side.
I was like, what's here? And you're like, your heart. I'm like, well, right below it.
Nothing. You don't have, you're empty
It
inside.
hurts. It hurts.
It hurts.
It's not like a...
That's your wrist gland. That's what that is. It's malfunctioning right now. It's going, uh-oh.
So what happened this weekend, Jason? What happened? I leave for a week.
Yeah. So a bank failed, a big one.
Yeah.
SVB, right?
Silicon Valley Bank.
Yep.
Uh-huh.
Failed. This is a pretty large bank. Mostly, I would say California, Massachusetts, apparently. Lots of venture capital, tech kind of focus.
High tech, yeah.
Would be
maybe some involvement in the crypto world.
In the cryptos. Yeah, they basically had an old-fashioned bank run.
Yeah.
I mean, that's basically what happened. And so, we
lived through 0809. We
right.
didn't see the old-fashioned bank runs, did we?
No, we didn't. No, it was.
We're talking different. It's a Wonderful Life.
Yeah.
Like, I wasn't there, but there's a picture in the paper. Look, this. What is this thing?
This newspaper
holding,
here. I mean, like, this is today's newspaper, March 11th, 12th. This is Saturday, Sunday, Wall Street Journal. Bank failure spurs race for cash. I mean, like, truly, like, It's a Wonderful Life.
Folks, except for people are standing outside in puffer jackets.
Yeah, they're waiting. I mean, for our studio audience, like, they're literally waiting to get into the bank, and they're not going to open. Okay, they lock their doors.
Yeah.
Okay, and how big was this one? I'm forgetting all of a sudden.
$209 billion.
That's billion with a B. So this is crazy. So let's talk about what a bank run is.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's just really something starts a chain reaction that causes people.
I don't know, George. That looks like a run to me.
Yep. That causes people to start taking money out of the bank in a big way. Okay, and based on what we know as of this point, that is exactly what sounds like happened.
Yeah. So let's set the stage here.
Right.
Most of you listening, if not all of you listening, know that a bank doesn't keep all of its deposits in cash at the bank ready for withdrawal.
So we have a fractional banking system.
Yeah, that's
right.
Okay. Yeah, that's a good way of explaining it. So if you've ever gone into the bank to make a big purchase, let's say, and you wanted to pull out, well, now it's even if you go in there and you say, oh, I need $5,000 in cash, they'll say, whoa, hang on, we got to order that.
Right.
You know, we can get it to you in a couple of days, and you're going, what? Why don't they have that back there, right? I have X amount here.
Right, exactly.
Right, exactly. I just said exactly what you said.
Exactly.
Isn't that funny?
Exactly.
Right, exactly. Let's do that again. No. Yeah, I mean, we wouldn't expect banks to hold all of the deposits in cash in the vault because there would be no making money then. They couldn't keep their vault doors open.
Right, exactly. Yeah, so they're taking their deposits, making investments, that get returned.
Lending money out.
Correct. They're making profit by doing that, and they're also paying the depositor a little bit higher interest rates than what we've seen in the last couple of years. And so, you know, when somebody goes into the bank, and it doesn't have to be physical cash even. In this case, it was probably not.
Except for those people in the newspaper.
Yeah, exactly.
That old-fashioned newspaper thing you got there.
Yeah, I mean, these folks were moving big chunks of money out of the bank, which really put the screws on their deposits. So what did they have to do? I mean, they had to basically liquidate their investments. Yeah. Which weren't anything like super crazy, right?
No, but let's talk about what a bank might invest in.
Right.
Okay, so
I mean, go back to It's a Wonderful Life, right? I mean, George Bailey saying, "Well, your money's in Sam's house in whatever." I don't remember all their names, but
even some of the other investments that they would conservatively invest in to get a little bit of a return, so that they
government
can offer
bonds.
Yeah, exactly. And we know the story with bonds, right? I mean, we've been in a low rate environment for a long time, and bonds the returns haven't been all that attractive from a coupon rate standpoint, or you can't say interest rate, but that's what people think, right?
Right.
The return hasn't been phenomenal. And when a bank is making these investments, they're going to go all across the spectrum, short-term, mid-term, long-term. They've got to buy some long-term bonds. Well, what happens when you're locked into long-term bonds and interest rates go up sharply in a short run, like we've seen over the last year? When we're looking at a 500 basis point increase,
right? Exactly.
Essentially. So what happens to those long-term interest rates, those bonds that are carrying those low rates? Well, they're all of a sudden not very attractive, are they, Jason?
Yeah,
if you can get a short-term paying a lot more.
Unless they hold those bonds until maturity, they're going to take a licking. Which
would typically be the plan.
Right. So
but when you see a run,
on paper, this strategy is really interesting. Buy a government bond, various laddering of when they actually come due, get your money back. It's safe because it's a government bond. Yep. Probably not much safer.
So what kind of risks are we talking here?
Yeah. So the risk of this plan just blowing up in your face is really, there's two risks. One, exactly what happened. People saying, I want out.
Yeah.
And
so would we put that in the liquidity risk?
Yeah, I would put that in liquidity. Even though they're highly, highly liquid, it doesn't mean that you can run out and get all your money back.
Exactly. It's going to be at the market price. So again, let's just put this in perspective. Jason, if I can give you a 2-year bond now at 4%, and you're
my 2% bond,
you're holding a 2% bond, and you got to wait 20 years until that baby matures for you to get your principal back out of it. What looks more attractive?
They're going to buy the new bond. Yeah, they're going to buy the new bond all day.
Therefore, when forced to buy your bond, you're going to get a big discount.
Yep, and that's exactly what happened. And so I think, people are asking, like, why did this happen? Like, how could this possibly have occurred?
It's kind of amazing that it doesn't happen more if you think about it.
Yeah, and we looked at those stats, right?
We did.
So how often, it's funny because, I think even the FDIC even said, on their website, it's not totally uncommon.
Yeah, no, actually, there's that Midwest thing.
Ooh.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, no.
If you go to FDIC.gov, there is a history of bank failures. So, like you said, how can this happen? How can this happen? Well, actually, it's more common than what we think, okay? So if you think about it, on average, tens of banks go out each year.
Yeah, we looked at 2010. That was one that stuck out to us. 159, is that what
157.
157. So 157 banks in 2010.
Back in 2008, when we were really on the verge.
Yeah, this was actually a true financial crisis.
And it was a credit crisis. It was a bank crisis. Yep. There were 25.
Yeah.
So
now, in terms of assets, those 25 banks, what was the number? 300?
So the number in 2008, and this will put some of this in perspective. We have not seen the numbers of bank failures from a sheer number standpoint.
Since COVID, we've had 3 bank failures.
Right. So
that's kind of crazy.
Exactly. And what's interesting is we've had some years in here, actually 22, 21, none.
0. Yeah.
2020 we had 4. 2019 we had 4. When we had some other years in there with none. That's more the anomaly than anything.
Right.
So we've had 1 this year so far, but at $209 billion in assets, that's a pretty big one. Even if you go back to 2008, for example, $373 billion in assets.
So 373 of 25 banks, and 1 was 209.
Yeah, so this is a big boy.
It is, yeah. And I think that's we're still waiting for the collateral damage of other banks that might fail as a result of this bank.
Well, yeah, there are some that have been identified.
Yep.
Well, there was another one, Signature.
Yeah.
And then there's another one that started with an R, I think.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. But the reality is
there's maybe 3.
3, maybe 4, probably. There's going to be some here. I think I want to point this out, though, since you said the numbers are kind of like almost an anomaly that they're low.
Yeah.
2008-9, we had massive regulatory changes when it came to banking, right?
Right.
Reserve requirements were historically at the highest numbers they've been in a long, long time. And, I think that's probably part of the reason, the government changed the regulation. That, I mean, man, we were in a bank at that time. Like,
yeah,
it was crazy town. Some of the regs.
That 2007, 2008. That's when I got into banking.
Yeah.
It was a scary time.
Yeah, I know. It was nuts. Yeah, I mean, we watched most regional bank stocks go to $1.
Yeah.
It was,
and they stayed there for a while.
They did, yeah. So even though it's like not talked about that much, it's not totally uncommon. The size of this one is what's concerning, right?
And to put it in perspective, we talked about 2008, but there were a lot more that failed in 2009. $170 billion in 2009 with 140 banks that failed. In 2010, 157. That's the big one on the chart here. It was like $96 billion in assets. So
wow.
This one was twice that and then some.
And I mean, some of that is, don't forget, I mean, over 10, 15 years, the dollar is worth something different. The dollars aren't exactly the same. Our economy expanded.
Even though we didn't see inflation from 2010 until now, Jason. Wait a minute.
Yeah. So back to like why this happened, I think. We said they failed to manage the liquidity risk.
Yeah.
But also, they didn't hedge against the interest rate.
Yeah, interest rate risk, which it's no surprise. I mean, I think most of us have been waiting. Like, isn't it time to raise rates? We could argue that the Fed waited way too long to raise rates anyway when they did start raising.
Well, and I think, maybe, SVB's management were kind of resting in their laurels and saying, you know what, rates aren't probably going to go up. They've been low for a long time.
They were banking on easy money for longer, that's for sure.
Yep, and so if you didn't hedge those interest rates, shame on them, really.
Yeah.
That's going to be a tough one to get by. That is simply just, that is a bank's job, really, to make sure that the investments they're taking, that they're hedged and diversified.
So this is new news, I guess. By the time this comes out, we'll probably have our facts corrected and everything. But what I read, that trade was what was it, $1.8 billion loss on that bond trade.
That was the first one.
And that's a sign.
It is.
Right, that something's wrong. And then from what I read, they were trying to raise capital. They were issuing more common stock.
And they failed to do it.
And they got people scratching their heads going, what's going on here? What's going on? Why are we reporting this big loss? Why are they issuing stock? There's trouble, right? There's trouble on the horizon.
Yeah, so
that's what created the run on the bank.
The tweet heard around the world at this point. Jim Cramer's recommendation of the stock just a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
This is, he straight up recommended it. Like
and what's funny, we played that clip earlier. Not only did he recommend it, but he said that regulators' suspicion of this company was overblown.
Right.
Saying, I don't think it's warranted.
Yeah.
We're not here trying to smear anybody's name, but this is why we don't play Mad Money with our clients' funds.
Yeah, we don't like individual stock investing.
Here's why.
Yeah, and this is hard to watch happening.
Well,
okay?
I think you could put it this way. The individual stock trade, this is a situation where maybe somebody listened to old Jim and put a bunch of money to work, because if you asked him, they were even though they were up 40% in the last year or whatever, they had a long way to go, right? What if someone put their life savings in that? It's not the craziest thing to think about. Jim Cramer has his own show. He has a following.
He is an entertainer.
People listen to his advice, but he's picking individual stocks, and that's not appropriate for most Joe investor.
Right.
In most cases, you could even look at this company, this bank, and say, well, were they the worst offender out there? Probably not.
Yeah, probably not.
But this is the one that got caught making a trade, and then every domino just toppled, right?
Again,
and caused the run.
What caused that chain reaction to happen?
Yeah.
Was it, a rumor? Was it, just one VC company needing their capital out, like in a rapid way? I think that those are all plausible. And of course, by the time this comes out, it will know more. But
they might be bailed out by then.
Yeah. So I think the moral of the story, let's talk about that, right? Because I don't want to scare anybody. Like, that's not the point.
Yeah, Jason, so I know this morning the first thing that I did was I went and I took all my money out of the bank. Was that a good move?
Yes. Yes.
Okay,
I ordered my Liberty safe. It's
All
on
right,
its way. No, I didn't do that.
I stocked the bunker.
Yeah. I don't want to I don't want to dismiss like the actual fear that people are feeling. Like, it's fine to have a little bit of cash. Like, there's nothing wrong with that. But I didn't go and pull my money out of my bank. Okay. If we have
promise you won't.
I won't. If we had a systemic like banking failure across the country, like, guys, it doesn't matter.
Well, and I think that's the big question, right, Jason? When we look at this, we say, well, SVB, now we're talking about Signature, and there's a third one that I can't remember right off the top of my head, but quite honestly, there'll probably be a couple of more that are ripe for the picking here.
Exactly.
But do we see a systematic bank failure? I think that we would argue, maybe argue with me if you don't agree, but I think we're on the same page here that a lot of the restrictions, a lot of the capital requirements that came in after 2008, 2009, a real financial crisis, have most banks out there, especially the big boys, and I would probably say most of the big regional banks too, in a lot better footing than they were in 2008, 2009. I don't think that this is a domino effect and we're going to start to see all the regional banks crumble and then the big banks crumble. I don't think that any of them, for the most part, up at the top of the food chain, not bank, are even worried about this.
No, and again, I think most are probably worried about the reaction.
Yeah.
You know what causes that frothy kind of mental move that people make, and we don't know. So, I think we have. You know, I always kind of go back to what we know.
Which is not much.
Well, most days. We have a really, really strong economy. Okay? We live in the United States. It's
even if you listen to Fox Business News and CNBC.
Exactly. And this is not totally on the shoulders of the president or Congress. People like me and Caleb get up every day and go to work, try to make money, try to help people out and provide a service that is really useful. And, you know, there's lots of other small businesses doing that across the country. So I think the other part of this is our banking system, hands down, is by far the most attractive banking system in the world. There is just
still the gold standard.
Yeah, absolutely. It is a wonderful accomplishment.
Still the gold standard that does not use the gold standard.
That's anymore. Right. That's right. But we have a big economy and we can tax the crap out of our citizens. So
and you know what, Jason? This whole bank failure thing kind of overshadowed some of the real news from last week as far as some of the budget proposals and some of the tax hikes that are on the table. Now, well, that could
they
be
might
another
be off
episode.
the table.
I think that they're, for all intents and purposes, actually off the table. I think it's a political move, but I don't see that. I see a really, really small chance of some of these rate hikes or tax hikes actually taking place. But it's funny how now we're not talking about that less than a week from
exactly.
The budget announcement.
And by the way, we made a massive expansion of oil leases in Alaska. And at the same time, we restricted some. I'm like, this is just funny. It's like a classic move. So
it does feel like a sleight of hand a little bit.
Yeah, I am a watch the other hand kind of guy. And unfortunately, fall into conspiracy theories way more than I want to admit. But guys, there's a lot of reason to be hopeful. This is really, I think, our first like real headline victim of high inflation, like that inflation actually caused this to occur.
Yeah.
What a interesting thing to witness.
Fed policy. And
yeah.
I mean, the people who are pointing the fingers and saying, no shame.
Yeah.
Had a lot more to do with this probably.
Sure did.
All right. Well,
I don't know if that was fun or not.
So banking, put money in your bank. For it or against it? I'm for it.
I'm for it.
All right, Jason.
Yeah.
Well, folks, it's been fun, but it is time to close out the tab. So thanks for having a drink with us this week. If you have a question or a topic you want addressed on the Old Fashioned Finance Podcast, be sure to email us at podcast@bluejfg.com. We'd love to hear from you. Don't forget to share the show with someone you love or just someone who needs a little money muddling themselves. You can stay up to date with the latest action by following us on Facebook. Old Fashioned Finance is brought to you by Blue Jay Financial Group. That's bluejayfg.com, and produced by Podastery Studios. We've been your hosts, Caleb and Jason.
I just chugged.
Cheers.
Yeah.
To Dirty Shirley.
Dirty Shirley. She's a fine gal.
Blue Jay Financial Group, LLC. Blue Jay is a registered investment advisor registered with the state of Ohio. Registration does not imply a certain level of skill or training. The presence of this advertisement on this podcast shall not be directly or indirectly interpreted as a solicitation of investment advisory services to persons of another jurisdiction unless otherwise permitted by statute. Follow-up or individualized responses to a consumer in a particular state by Blue Jay and the rendering of personalized investment advice for compensation shall not be made without first complying with jurisdiction requirements or pursuant an applicable state exemption. All verbal and written consent on this presentation is for information purposes only. Opinions expressed herein are solely those of Blue Jay unless otherwise specifically cited. Material presented is believed to be from reliable sources, and no representations are made by our firm as to other parties' informational accuracy or completeness. All information or ideas provided should be discussed in detail with an advisor, accountant, or legal counsel prior to implementation.